Well, it has been a very unusual day here on Parliament Hill. I'm in the foyer outside the House of Commons, and we've had a resignation of one of the Prime Minister's ministers. In fact, a very serious resignation, because Michael Chung is Minister for Intergovernmental Affairs, and he's resigned on the day when the House of Commons, of course, is scheduled to pass this motion recognizing Quebec as, or the Quebecois as, a nation within Canada. So to have the Intergovernmental Affairs Minister throw in the towel makes you wonder what exactly is going on. Well, from my standpoint, I've heard from many people here on the internet who've done the online poll. 70% of Canadians have told me they want nothing to do with this measure. They want me to vote no. And that's consistent with what I've heard also from my riding. So could it be that, well, 70% of Canadians want nothing to do with this? 99% of the politicians around this place are actually supporting it? Could it be that the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs resignation was basically showing that he too feels what I'm feeling, and that is it's more important to represent the people? We'll see. This is a developing story, obviously, right now. But let's go a little deeper. We were actually out on the streets of Ottawa over the last day or two asking individual Canadians how they felt about the motion to recognize les Québécois as a nation within Canada. We'd like to take you right now to some of those voices, because what they have to say obviously is important. They are the people of Canada. Let's listen.
I think Mr. Harper is just he's trying to solicit some support from the province of Quebec, really. I mean, to say that Quebec is a nation, a separate nation within a nation, is kind of ambiguous. It says nothing about what rights they will have more so than the other provinces. And then when we get into conversations like that, now it starts setting up the whole Meech accord all over again. And what are the other provinces going to think about this if they don't get similar privileges? So it's like a big hornet's nest that Mr. Harper is opening, and he's opening it at the right time for himself so that he can manage to start skirting around the issue and garner some support that he's lost in the province of Quebec.
I really don't think it's going to make a decision on how Quebecers are thinking, because they only think they always thought about separating, but I don't think they'll survive alone. Quebecers they all want more. They're always going to want more. They're going to be recognized as a nation from Canada. They want to separate. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but you never know.
Quebec is recognized as a distinct society within Canada, and has contributed to the historical foundations that Canada has been built on. And this whole question of separation, the PM, I just don't know where this is coming from. But what I'd like to put out there to the Prime Minister of Canada is, why not address the Aboriginal First Nations claim to their land here that's been put off hold and has been an ongoing struggle for our brothers and sisters who are Aboriginal. And so I'd like to have the PM address that issue first and foremost.
That's crap. They're either part of Canada or they're not. If they're a nation amongst themselves, they don't get our federal system help at all, they're on their own. They're not a nation within Canada. They're either a province of Canada or they're separate from Canada. One or the other. There is no middle ground. It doesn't work that way. It's hypocritical and it's garbage. I don't agree with it. It's wrong. It's just trying to make something go away so people will forget about it. People aren't going to forget about it because it's just going to create bigger problems, greater issues. Because then they're going to still want, oh well, no, we can do things this way because we're a separate nation. You're a separate nation? Fine, we'll put a fence around you. You need a passport to come over here. None of your Quebec workers can work over here. We pull all government agencies out of there. They no longer are there. No more government workers. If you're from Quebec, you cannot live in Quebec and work in Ontario. Period. Because you're not part of Canada anymore.
I think it's unfortunate that the Prime Minister has decided to say that there's going to be a nation within a nation. Where's the support for this? Is this in the Constitution? I think it's detracting from the issues of which the Conservatives and their minority government were elected. They had a platform of 5 issues and they're not addressing those issues.
Whoever is around him is afraid to lose ground, but I think it's a silly policy. I was very surprised because it's not the way he's thinking, but he's doing that because it's getting close to a liberal election. He's always changing his mind anyway, so whoever believes him, trust him, it's up to them. I was very shocked to pieces when he came out of that, and I'm from Quebec, but I live in Ontario now. I think that it's silly. Why should Quebec be a nation and all the other provinces not be a nation? We're part of Canada. We're a nation. Canada is a nation by itself. I mean, what the hell is going on? I think he's gone too far this time. He's going to get into trouble.
I'm real interested in the whole notion of the current Prime Minister talking about a recognition of Quebec as an independent country. Okay, we were in Ukraine, and they do the same thing with Crimea. It's an independent republic within the Ukrainian. Yeah.
I would imagine it depends on what the people want to see.
I agree with Harper's statement. I think that they are a part of Canada and they can have their own views and culture within the province, their province, but I don't believe that they need to separate from Canada to have that.
That's what I'm confused on. What exactly does that mean? They made this statement, but then they followed it by, but don't worry, it doesn't actually mean they're a separate nation. So I'm not really sure what that entails.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
I don't think so.
It's
Am I missing out on something?
It's not a province anymore. It's a nation.
Oh yes, it is, of course. Well, I don't know about this whole nation inside another country sort of thing, but yeah, definitely distinct.
And now, what sort of difference do you think it's going to make
in the whole of things? Politically,
Prime Minister to call it a nation.
Not a big deal. Not as big as people are going to say it is. No.
And what do you think a nation is?
A distinct group, all towards one ideal and goal sort of thing. That's kind of what Quebec is. I mean, they're very proud of, we sort of live in Quebec and proud of where we are and what Quebec has done. So yeah, distinct and unto itself, right?
I don't think it's a nation because it's part of Canada, therefore Canada is a nation, yes. Quebec itself is a culture, but it couldn't really be called a nation because it's part of this country.
So what does the Prime Minister saying that he's going to call it a nation mean? What will change?
Unfortunately, I think it'll just fuel the passions of the separatists who now have a Prime Minister who are validating their decision to call themselves and try and become their own country, which I don't think is something that Canada should move towards.
Well, as you know by now, I actually was the one who announced Minister Chung's resignation in the House of Commons. It was completely by accident. I was going to get up and ask him about the definition of a nation under the motion that we are to pass tonight, but I did get this information and I asked the Prime Minister to confirm it. I didn't mean to do that, and I don't want to grandstand here at all because it was not my intention 2 minutes before I got up to actually ask about another member's resignation. And Minister Chung, Michael Chung, I know him. He's a very decent man, decent young guy, a good member of Parliament, and I'm sure he made a choice that was right for him, and hopefully he made a choice also that was right for Canada. Well, let's go now into the House of Commons. I want to do a bit of a replay. Here is my question to the Prime Minister, and here's his response immediately after about Mr. Chung's resignation.
Member for Halton.
Thank you, Speaker. The Quebecois motion is very concerning to many, many Canadians. And word now is that the government's Minister of Sports and Intergovernmental Affairs has just resigned because of it. Could the Prime Minister please brief this House on this development and tell us whether he's ready to withdraw this divisive motion?
The Right Honourable the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this government believes strongly that the time has come for national reconciliation. That's why we put forward the motion before the House today. It recognizes a Quebec nation within a united Canada. We believe this is the kind of respect and reconciliation that Quebecers are looking for. We're pleased with the reaction the motion has received across the country and urge all members of the House to vote for it this evening.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Perhaps, Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Prime Minister would like to answer the frank and simple question, has his minister resigned?
Good question.
The Right Honourable the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have nothing to add to my previous answer. Obviously, we will be watching to see how all members vote on this motion this evening.
Order. I would like to draw